Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, August 11th, 2017. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The Garifuna Diaspora United in Healing is hosting this year's activities to remember their Garifuna ancestors who died for freedom and for Euromane. The delegation will visit former Garifuna settlements, their place of exile, as well as engage in healing and reconciliation activities. Nikita Tony tells us more about the activities which were launched last evening at the Peace Memorial Hall.
Aiming to build greater public awareness about the indigenous history and contribution of the Garifuna people, as well as highlight indigenous spiritual traditions, worldviews, and healing practices, a week of activities are underway here in St. Vincent, hosted by the Garifuna Diaspora United in Healing, who are on pilgrimage to their ancestral homeland, Euromane. At an official opening ceremony held on Thursday evening at the Peace Memorial Hall, the delegates were welcomed to the island, as well as briefed on the significance of their visit, as they seek to retrieve their Garifuna heritage and traditions. Chairperson of the event, Gwen Nunez Gonzalez, expressed on behalf of the visiting delegation her elation in being able to return to their ancestral homeland.
Has educated us in a mindset that we're different. So we're divided by countries. But when it comes to matters of the heart, it doesn't matter where you are. Coming back purposefully. And so we encourage all our brothers and sisters here not to be ashamed of who you are. You come from solid men and women who are not afraid.
In his welcoming remarks, Deputy Director of the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit, Maxwell Charles, said the activities will help Vincentians gain more knowledge of their Garifuna ancestors.
Presence here today says that you want to connect again with the land of your ancestors as those who were left behind, so to speak. Bond again. And as you are filled with the thoughts of what happened 220 years ago, let not hatred fill your heart, but be thankful that we survived and we can take our place, rightful place in the international community.
Minister of State in the Ministry of Public Service and Public Utilities in Belize, Frank Mena, gave a reflection on the exile of the Garifuna people from Euromane, noting that their visit signals that there is indeed a way forward.
Our fears, pain. The pain requires us to give up falsities, lies, and impressions we try to create for the outside world. Instead of celebrating the victory of those who survive, we have to recognize the defeat of those who died. To reconcile with it, we must ask forgiveness for having failed. Then we can free ourselves from the guilt.
Making reference to the poem Private Prayer, written by SVG's own Ellsworth Sheikhin, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves told his Garifuna brothers and sisters that their visit speaks to them being cognizant of the fact that to understand their history, they must come home.
Healing in this context means to make whole that which has been fractured, that which has been broken. And in making whole is a process. And we have to ask our parents, our mothers and fathers and our grandparents, and come home to ourselves with our understanding. To make ourselves whole out of the compromises which we have become.
It is hoped that the week of activities would promote unity, re-establish a common cause, and lead to further prosperity for the Garifuna people, not only in Euromane, but also in the Garifuna diaspora. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
The evolution of Caribbean politics and its political leaders was critically assessed during a lecture last evening hosted by the UWI Open Campus. The lecture, which was held in collaboration with the legalese SVG Incorporated, was the second in the series Issues in International Affairs, delivered by head of the Department of Government, Sociology and Social Work at the Cayville campus, Dr. Tennyson Joseph, who spoke on the topic, Any Cook Can Govern, Plato, Donald Trump and the Rise of Caribbean Businessmen, Politicians. Dr. Joseph presented arguments to differentiate between economics and politics.
The privileging of private capital over the social good. The privileging of the individual over the social. Margaret Thatcher told us there is no such thing as society. The idea that the state should retreat from the economic sphere every day. The technocrats who we produce in the econ department at UWI tell us that, spew that Kool-Aid to us all the time. Oh, the state should retreat. The state should let go. Let the private sector govern. As if these are common sense things and you shouldn't argue against them. And I always ask them, what was the colonial state? Describe the colonial state for me. It was doing two things: security and labor regulation and extracting resources from our region. That was the colonial state. No schools, no roads, no hospitals, because it wasn't serving a public. It was serving a colonial administration. But today the neoliberals want to tell you that is the form, the normal form of the state. You shouldn't do health. You shouldn't do education. No money. You see? So, the state should defend the business class. When there's a riot, bring police on the streets.
Dr. Joseph told the audience that it is unrealistic for technocrats to properly govern a country.
The assumption that all major political questions have been resolved and the only role left for politics is administration. That's why you have the rise of technocrats. So if politics is dead, then the next step is, let us have a government of technocrats. Technical people can solve, as if politics is so, as if there are no contest, nothing to contest. There's no contestation. So I remember in St. Lucia, there was this claim from one politician, who I respect, that we need a government of national unity. So I asked him, well, form it for me. Let me see how you're going to form it. He said, well, the best engineer will be Minister of Works. The best doctor will be Minister of Health. The best educator will be Minister of Education. And everything, we all live happily ever after. In the first place, you can't even agree on who's the best engineer. You understand what I tell you? And in any event, let us assume you want to take the best engineer based on his experience and qualification. That can be possible. He might tell you, we have to build a school here because we have to build a bridge here, because the natural rock formations take a bridge best. And as an engineer, I say a bridge. But the people say, I want a school. So how is that to be resolved? You think an engineer can resolve that? You think his engineering can resolve that? Politics can resolve that.
According to Dr. Joseph, while economics is based on efficiency, political science is more concerned with legitimacy.
If you think because it is efficient, it's legitimate. But I can efficiently arrive at the way of killing all of you in the room. That make it legitimate? I can efficiently decide to close half the schools because efficiency dictates that. That makes it legitimate? The political scientist is concerned with legitimacy. To say what it is that we should do, not what it is that the economy demands to be done. You see the distinction? But a lot of them reduce legitimacy to getting the economy right. If you look at the manifestos, we're in a terrible state now, Their manifestos actually glory in that nonsense, getting the economic fundamentals right, and children to have education, youth unemployment is growing and so forth, people are hungry and so forth. Their grandfathers were better off than them.
Communication is necessary in the delivery of proper health care, so says opposition spokesperson on health and MP for West Kingstown, Daniel Cummings. Cummings was at the time speaking on Boom FM Thursday, defending a statement he made previously, where he said the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital went from 3 anesthesiologists to half. Cummings stated that he is not questioning the qualifications of the lone anesthesiologist at the hospital currently, but questions the professional's ability to adequately communicate with the Vincentian public.
And when I said you move from 3 to a half, I repeat, They can turn it and twist it how they want. The facts is what they can't listen to. If you have a Cuban person who doesn't communicate well, this has nothing to do with the professionalism of the person or the ability. In any medical situation, if you cannot communicate, if you don't know the English language well enough, you have limitations. And when you use deliberate, colorful language, has nothing to do with the person's technical ability or good qualities. Communication is essential in delivering healthcare. That's what I'm talking about. They know it, but that's the nastiness of their politics. They turn a simple statement into all kinds of weird interpretation. We have a number of quality Cuban professionals over the years, I know that. But they have been here long enough to learn the language and learn to communicate. But when people just come and they speak Spanish and they can't speak English language, it's a problem for the doctor, it's a problem for the patient.
The opposition MP added that the government is playing party politics with the administration of healthcare, which he said is evident in the selection of head nurses.
Get it, people, when I say to you that the senior nurses are political appointees, you all think it's joke. In an area of health, politics is everything that matter. Party politics. When I talk, people think I talk glibly. This is what these people are paid to carry comments about who's supporting who and who not supporting who. That all their mission is politics. When this man says that only 6%, don't take that lightly. He don't speak without thinking. He is driven by what makes votes, not health. So people could scream to the top of the mountain, it means nothing. If he thinks it's not going to affect the vote, he's not going to touch it. Okay. Then you want to tell me a prime minister can't solve a simple matter of getting an anesthesiologist in this country after 6 going into 8 weeks now?
Speaking on the issue of medical marijuana, Cummings said that the party has its own policy on the issue, adding that such an industry, if pursued, must be one driven by Vincentians.
It has, but you see, and you need to deal with it in relation to not only ourselves but other regional entities and make sure that it's done above board. And clearly the evidence is that it has value, both health and economic, but it has to be done properly. When you look around and you hear about a facility going down at Mount Twin Peters Hope, and the person who is financing that speaks about marijuana. One wonders if you have to bring in people in this country to be able to look at medical marijuana. In other words, that seems to be the driving force behind that development. It shouldn't be that way. This is something that we have. Why can't we do it properly and have our people be the beneficiaries of that? Those are the kinds of issues we talk about, but things only happen in this country when those in authority can get something out of it. The national plan can't work that way. We must put our people first.
37 medical students, including one Vincentian, will receive their white coats when the All Saints University College of Medicine holds the 15th white coat ceremony tomorrow, Saturday, August 12, 2017, at the Arnisville campus, beginning at 4 p.m. The donning of the white coat by medical students represents the transition of fourth semester students from the basic sciences to the clinical phase of the Doctor of Medicine program. The ceremony will hear addresses from Dr. Wissam Al-Hadif, Dean of Basic Sciences, Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, and Parliamentary Representative for West St. George, Cesar Mackey, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Senator Deborah Childs, and Dr. Joshua Owolabi, who will speak on behalf of the faculty as well as from the valedictorian. The 3 top students will receive scholarship awards, and there will also be the naming of students to the Dean's List. All Saints University College of Medicine commenced operations here in September 2011 at Belair, with an additional campus added at Arnisville last year. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is issuing a warning to the owners of stray animals throughout the length and breadth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to have them tied. According to the police, the animals, mainly cows and sheep, are usually untied, mainly in the areas of Argyle, Buckament, Diamond, and King Garden, and are seen walking the streets freely. The police said this situation creates potential for accidents, and against this backdrop, They are giving the owners 2 weeks to have the situation rectified, stating that action will be taken within the confines of the law if the animals are not tied by the allotted time frame. Rudolph Andrews, a 34-year-old resident of Camden Park, who was arrested and charged with the offense of inflicting grievous bodily harm upon 72-year-old Lawrence Alexander of Clifton, Union Island, on July 25, 2017, has been granted bail. Andrews was denied bail on 2 occasions pending the health condition of Alexander, who was a patient at the intensive care unit at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. He has been allowed bail even though Alexander subsequently died. Reports are that an autopsy which was conducted on Alexander's body revealed that his death was not as a result of the wound to his head, which was inflicted by Andrews with a stool. The charge of grievous bodily harm, however, stands, and bail was granted in the sum of $12,000 with 1 surety. When Andrews reappeared at the Kingston Magistrate Court today, Friday, August 11th, he was also ordered to report to the Kettles Police Station on Mondays and Fridays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and to surrender all travel documents to the court. He is not to leave the state without the express permission of the court. The matter was adjourned and transferred to the Serious Offences Court to be heard on September 4th, 2017, where a determination will be made. And after appearing in a weekly newspaper chiding the local media of tarnishing his reputation, former police constable L. Ron Lewis, who was recently acquitted on some 25 charges of deception, has once again been slapped with 3 new separate deception-related charges. According to information which was laid before the magistrate court, Lewis is accused of deceiving Arita Batiste of approximately $1,100 at Kingstown between June 25th and July 7th, 2017. Lewis appeared at the Kingston Magistrate Court today, Friday, before Senior Magistrate Bertie Pompey and entered a plea of not guilty on the charges. Court prosecutor Elgin Richards did not object to bail, which was allowed in the sum of $2,000 with 1 surety. He was also ordered to report to the Rose Hall Police Station on Mondays and Fridays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and is not to have any contact with Batiste. He is scheduled to return to court on October 23, 2017, when the matters are expected to come up for trial. With the Caribbean Festival for the Creative Arts set to commence next Thursday, August 17th in Barbados, preparations are ongoing to ensure SVG is well represented by the 39-member delegation. At a media conference on Thursday, head of the delegation, Ashford Wood, expressed confidence that the nation will be fully represented by the individuals selected. Working under the sub-theme, the Cultural Gateway AIA Vinci Experience, Wood named some of the members of the delegation and explained how they were selected.
The thing we have to do is to get an idea of what is going to be the size of the contingent. And of course, this will depend on the availability of finance coming mainly from central government. Then we look at the different disciplines where we are going to participate and select persons to fit into these disciplines. Thirdly, we look at persons who can multitask. Let me give you an example of what I mean here. And I pick a name. Let's say Sule. He's part of the delegation. He's a calypsonian. He's a poet. He's a drummer. And he's also skilled with his hands, so he can assist when it comes to setting up tents and so on.
Wood further outlined the various activities in which SVG is set to participate at CariFesta 13.
There will be a number of cultural performances in all aspects of the creative arts. And this will run on a day-to-day basis, including a country night, where each country must put on a production showcasing their cultural elements. St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be taking part in the musical nights, dance showcase, grand market expo, fashion shows, and theater. The Vincentian delegation is scheduled to leave on August the 16th, 2017, and Thursday, the 17th, 2017. Those who go up on the 16th obviously go ahead to put things in place so that when the full delegation comes, they would have things already organized. It's a 10-day activity, and it closes on the 27th, and we return to St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 28th.
Aiming to deliver holistic care to all persons in the Vincentian Society, the New Testament Church of God has recently rolled out their national Total Care Ministry, which will see the church attending to the basic needs of persons apart from the spiritual aspect. Speaking at a media launch on Wednesday, head of the ministry, Dr. Joselle Miller, noted that the ministry has further been broken down into 4 missions: medical, food and clothing drive, shut-in hospital and prison ministry, along with foster care, to strategically target specific basic needs. Miller went on to outline some of the work to be carried out under the shut-in and prison ministry.
One of the things we want to also do is to probably use our resources with these buses to actually take the shut-ins out sometimes for some recreation. Sometimes it's really important for them to be able to get out of the house, or even if we could, take them for a few hours out of the hospital once they are medically fit to do so, and give them a break from the routine of illness so that they can feel some sense of connection with nature, and that in itself helps with recuperation. Notice that there is a gap in terms of rehabilitation, and at some point the Total Care Ministry will aim towards putting in place some sort of rehabilitation program or a re-entry into society program, where when persons are released from prison, if we can at least help them with a skill or some form of employment, probably within the church, where we also have our own business owners, to see how best we can facilitate the transition and help persons to get back on their feet.
Making reference to work being done by the Child Protection Unit, Miller said the ministry, through its foster care mission, will give assistance to all children in need.
And there is generally a lack in terms of finding adequate foster homes for these children to be placed in the interim whilst their cases are being heard, and whilst you have to find persons for adoption or whatever the case is. We want to be or provide that sort of service in the interim, where children can be fostered whilst their cases are being reviewed, and whilst they are the system is looking for a permanent place of residence. We identify persons within the church who would be willing to open their homes as foster care parents during the time that these children are in need of it. The end result, however, we are hoping that later on in the future that we'll be able to open our own children's home.
The head of the ministry further took the opportunity to invite the general public to a clothing drive to mark the official launch of the ministry at the Wilson Hill Church tomorrow, Saturday, August 12th, from 9 a.m.
Invite the general public to come out, because it is not just for New Testament members, it's not just for Christians. It is open to the general population, and we're going to be here from 9 a.m. As Sister Alana pointed out, the clothes will not be sold. What we're going to encourage persons to do is to come if there is a need, if you have family members, children, whatever that you need, certain clothing items, you can come and see whether or not we'll be able to help you. Also, we want to, open the avenue for spiritual counseling as well. We'll be distributing tracts, because as you know, it's a holistic effort, so we don't want to just give the clothes and not mention Christ, because in the long run, it is about evangelism and about persons understanding the need for Christ in their lives.